Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator. In this video, we're going to talk about some headlines here that this was got to get this Ski Butlers ad in there. Best vacation ever. Yes, I do some videos talking about ski butlers where the ski industry can't figure out why, the projections are things are getting worse and worse and worse for them, and we need solutions. And ski butlers is just, as I've been saying, it's like 1,000 unenvironmental steps away from when we just went skiing and weren't environmentally irresponsible in doing it, as the ski industry has become their own worst enemy. And this is just one of the just most abusive businesses out there in the industry. But I tried to hide that ad, but they made sure it got popped up there. So gotta have the ad. Okay, so yeah, just they're down here too, right? They're everywhere, all over this article. An article that where the Democrats went after big oil climate pledges and calling them insufficient. And this February 8th, 2022. It was by the Hill. It was on Yahoo News. And oh yeah, another ad from Ski Butlers. Now, this is the problem. Okay, we're blaming big oil, and they're the problem. Oh my God, big oil, because our government. Oh, look, we have a third ad from Ski Butlers right here. Okay, Ski Butlers, what do? They drive around in these vans all day long to deliver skis and boots to you. And if you need any adjustment, I mean, these people who can't even ski, okay, if they're the least bit uncomfortable, oh my God, we'll come running to you. We'll change out skis. We'll do whatever to make sure that your vacation is just the best, the best, the best. Oh my God, and that you're the most convenienced. I mean, and this, what does this do? Burn oil. Okay. So, the Democrats are going after big oil for not being sufficient enough in their climate pledges. Why do they even have to have climate pledges? I mean, nobody else does, right? A climate pledge. We have people who have been on the job for 5 decades now, that it has been their job to solve this problem, and they haven't. Why? Because they're so stupid. They don't know that Ski Butlers, who's a paying brand member of not protecting our winters, they care so much, but they're the problem. And here they are in an industry that's screaming for solutions, burning oil all day long, driving around in cars. But it's big oil's fault. That big oil meets the demand that society gives them. And society, including Ski Butlers, this place just needs to go out of business. Okay? I mean, it just needs to. And it's not big oil's fault that they are meeting the demand that Ski Butler creates by having these cars drive all over the place, and every other business that uses the oil that these people go and get for them, including heating in our homes, okay, that government hasn't gotten you off of. How many decades have they talked about solar, alternative energy? Nuclear is not a solution. Oh, yes, it's clean. It doesn't emit emissions, but we still don't know what to do with the nuclear waste. And if these ever have a meltdown, oh my God, that would never happen. It is an absolute statistical probability that it is going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And power outages, they're saying that just even a solar flare, Elon Musk is saying you just put a bunch of satellites up and a solar flare took them out. Maybe they just didn't work. I don't know. But a solar flare could take out electricity, an EMP, which everybody's yapping about in these tense times. I mean, just a power grid takedown would have all of the power plants going into meltdown. Okay, so the government hasn't done anything to get us off of big oil. They haven't steered, including the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, who still won't. That's That's a video I put out last night about John Kerry in the Chamber of Commerce. But here was Democrats out here taking on big oil because big oil is the problem. No, big oil isn't the problem. Are they saints? Hardly, hardly. But I think I heard the other day, oil is in 6,000 products. These people, they go out and they protest big oil in their kayaks. They're in the ocean. Those kayaks are made of oil. I did a video about the oil industry execs that finally stood up to um, the North Face, I think it was, who wouldn't make a jacket for them because, oh, that's not good for our branding to put your logo on it. That oil company wanted to get jackets for their workers and, oh, well, our logo on your jacket. And the oil company's like, our oil makes your jackets and a bunch of your other products. So give it a rest. And then, I mean, that oil company, I think it was North Face. I mean, they have their own private hangar at an airport to keep their fleet of private jets. Okay. And so, everybody's just a hypocrite. And who's a hypocrite too? Is the Democrats in Congress here. Because no Democrat in Congress, in governorships, and yeah, I don't even go to the local level where I live, and then they all hate you, and then they make your life miserable for asking them to, get the solutions the world is crying out for to the world. But let me tell you, there is no Democrat, starting with Al Gore, that will allow solutions. But here, and had Al Gore or the Clintons or Barack or Mr. BS Bernie Sanders or Oasis Crazy or any environmental voice or Jay Inslee and, every governor since I've been in Montana, I've run into them all and been like, hey, and they all have taken pleasure in treating me like just horrendousness that national public servants, they they just they take pleasure in just laughing in your face. And especially uh and if I could get to all of these people that held this meeting today, I could spend days and days emailing them or calling their office, and you will never hear back. I will call to them and say, how do I know? For 28 years of doing this, that's how I know. This is what we need to do. And then if we put out the solutions the world needs, the environmental educator, education, and agenda, we wouldn't care what oil companies are doing. Okay, all the Democrats, everybody on the left, all the environmental groups, they wouldn't have been able to criticize Trump if anybody had, including them, had allowed solutions, because we would have already solved the problem and that issue wouldn't have been on Trump's desk. He wouldn't have had to listen to all of these people just out there lecturing that everybody else isn't doing enough when they're not doing anything and they won't be the leadership the world needs. But right here, this article put out by Rachel Frazin, Frazin. It took aim a bunch of the people, 4 out of the 5 invitees. These people weren't subpoenaed, oh, no, we'll invite them. They declined to appear. Down below, it says some, it didn't meet their scheduling date, but they'd like to arrange a date to come grovel to Congress that they care. And, one person down here, they're putting like billions and billions into, 15 billion into emissions lowering initiatives. And but again, the goal is out there by 2050, 3 decades from now. Okay. Oh, and then in 2050, when we don't achieve our goal, well, we'll go for another 30 years down in the future, like all environmental voices have been doing for 5 decades now, where if the world would just allow the solutions the world needs, I would have already solved our problems by these solutions. If you've seen the videos, I can't go into detail every video. End global environmental illiteracy, end our disposable society, gain individual cooperation. This right here is the sum of our environmental problems. It's every individual's irresponsible daily actions that aren't that much really individually. Okay, it's no, in comparison, especially to, like people like Bill Gates, Mr. Private jet, private yacht, private, of what, 47,000 square foot home, one of his homes. I mean, I've seen his chandelier in Big Sky, and let me tell you, his chandelier, just by driving by the house, his chandelier, in his entryway in like a night is more light than I use in an entire year. I swear to God. Okay, Billy. So, but if individuals just started taking their contribution out, because it all matters when you're talking about 7 billion people on the planet. And if individuals just started being responsible by being educated and being encouraged by leadership by example, and then if we did hemp, if the United States government would take hemp seriously and have, legalized, just they did under Trump, but have they for years? No. No. And are we getting this industry going? No. No. But much of which is made out of oil can be made out of hemp. Okay? So Congress isn't doing anything. They're yapping a lot, but they're not doing anything. It says right here, they criticize the company, saying the plans continue and in many cases expand fossil fuel production, and they're incompatible with fighting climate change. Oh, I'm sorry. Are there laws that like companies have to fight climate change? No, there's not even. Congress hasn't even done that. And do they really have in a free country? I mean, it's if we would just get people being responsible, if we would get Congress to lead with the solutions the world needs and use their voice for that, and actually get on real things and not the climate police that they want to put in your living room. you know it's companies have said that they want to reduce their carbon intensity of their fossil fuels, meaning that the fuels themselves will release carbon dioxide into the air. But then this guy, Michael Mann, a Pennsylvania State University atmospheric science professor, says that, yeah, okay, that's great. It would be similar to eating more potato chips, but selecting a lower fat variety. Okay, so he's saying you're going to be using more. They're planning on, actually producing more oil for more use, but oil isn't just used for our cars and our transportation, but he says that most of the emissions come from right here. That would be like an automaker pledging to eliminate emissions from their manufacturing, but doing nothing to improve their car's fuel efficiency. So it's because he says that most of the emissions come from the burning of the fuels in transportation, not from the production of it, which is what the oil company is interested in reducing. Their own emissions, not the downwind emissions that then using their product creates. But do you see cars, increasing mileage? Car companies increasing mileage? No. Do you see them going to hemp? No. Do you see them putting solar panels on roofs, car roofs? I'm not about Tulsa and electric. This whole electric, it's all it's using the same power sources as burning fossil fuels does. Your electric car, you're not doing any better for the environment. Why there isn't just, where do your cars sit all day? Oh, in the sun. Yeah, yeah. But it could be just basking in sun that's getting turned into power, but it's not. Why haven't we done that? Yeah, oh, that's right. But Congress has taken on the oil industry for keeping us powered, while no one has taken on the innovation to get us off of this oil. Okay? So it's the oil company's fault. No, it's not. No, no, it's not. It's the people who demand bigger and bigger gas guzzlers. The features in our cars are just absurd and ridiculous. You know, I remember the first time I saw a van door like close by itself. The person just touched it and then the whole door like moved by itself, and I was just looking at it. And I was in a public place and somebody near me was like, "What are you looking at?" I'm like, "That door just closed by itself." And the lady said, "Well, that's good because then they won't have to use their muscles." And I'm like, "No, that is our problem, okay? We don't need that feature." And cars can do a lot better, and people can stop thinking that they just have to be convenienced every second of their life. So, you know, but Congress was out there, they were out there taking on the oil industry, the invited oil industry, because we don't want to subpoena them. I don't know when they actually subpoena people. This isn't a criminal investigation, but as I say, if I try to get in touch with these Congress people, they they would have as much disinterest in environmental solutions as everyone else in government has had for 28 years. Okay. Barack is running this White House. I mean, his Secretary of Energy kidnapped me, so I couldn't say to him, "Stephen, I send you the solutions." Okay. Believe me, the solutions aren't allowed. And these people in Congress have as little interest in them as everybody else. But they were out there making a good show of things today. And right down here is where, Exxon spokesperson said the company's board members would appear voluntarily when they're available. But, they're just going to cower to, and we're working out there by 2050, 3 decades from now. We'll see. While the experts say we have, what, a decade to turn things around, and they've been saying that for a couple of decades. Okay. So this is all just a big show, and it got some press today, and it's all being done by Congress that absolutely won't allow solutions. I have hit up the Congress congressional climate every single time a new congressperson is out there saying that we need environmental solutions. I call, I email, and hear back never once. And the thing is, had Al Gore cared, I would have already solved our environmental problems. And you know what else would get this taken care of? Oh, that's right. If Project Veritas would do their job. That's right. But if you've been watching these videos, and you can see the ones I make specifically about Project Veritas, um, 2.5 years after begging them to expose the entire environmental industry, Gore, Redford, Sundance, McKibben, Mr. BS, Bernie Sanders, Oasis Crazy, Jay Inslee, the NRDC, Bobby Kennedy, you name it, on and on and on and on and on, not protecting our winners. I mean, will they? No, an entire industry, and letting people be robbed blind, and letting Congress, make go out and just act like they care when they don't. But this is what you get 2.5 years later, an anonymous message by this number here, who then, that was on December 29th. This one was February 6th. I called again. And as I mentioned before, as soon as I see your number, I delete it. Exclamation point. So happy to not be doing their jobs. Telling them that, and proving to them that an entire environmental industry, Greta, Bill Gates, will not allow solutions, is not valid tips. Al Gore, Harvard, proving to them is not valid tips. It's not something that should be exposed. So you get these like juvenile anonymous messages, and then you get this.
Tuesday, January 11th at 6:10 a.m. from 91465366123. Duration 10 seconds.
This is Project Veritas,
Every time we see your phone number, we just delete your message. So please stop wasting your time. Okay? And do get a life. End of message.
And do
To erase
get
this
a life.
phone number, we just delete your message. So please stop wasting your time. Okay? And do get a life.
And do
End
get a
of
life.
message.
Is that what James O'Keefe? Is that what James O'Keefe has you thinking Project Veritas does? No. But that's what Project Veritas thinks about exposing the entire fraudulent environmental industry, including Congress, because all of these names, they're not big enough. It's not. Well, what did Project Veritas just tell us? Oh, God, the war on whites exists. Now that's only been going on in your face for how long now? But they had tape at ESPN about all the disgruntled workers. Oh my God, what do you mean white people work here? Okay, let me tell you, you're not solving the war on whites until you stop and reverse the invasion of this country. Americans have basically committed treason, allowing this country to be invaded by ungrateful people, which includes foreign adoptions, right? Americans said, F you American kids, and adopted foreigners, and now we have a whole country that every time you walk out your door, you wonder when you move to Mexico, Asia, or Shariaville. And they're almost the majority of the population combined, and all they do is tell Americans the problem with America is you goddamn Americans, you white people. And Project Veritas just did an exposure about that. That is everywhere. The world knows it. And you know why it goes on? Americans tolerate it. But Project Veritas exposes nothing. They tell us what we already know, and that was a big exposure, but it really wasn't any exposure at all. But will they actually go out and expose something? No. No. They're so proud. So stay tuned, people.